All right, and we're back. We've got round 3 of Swiss starting up now. We have the bus stop team of Ben Tudman, JLS, and Chia on the right. Ben is on the right, and he's playing Eldrazi. On the left, we have Leo of Leo, Michael Billinghurst, and Ben, the BEM team. This is table 1, and they're 2-0, so it should be exciting stuff. And we'll see what's going to happen. Just realized I didn't turn the camera back on. I believe it's Blue Moon on Leo's side of things. So starting from this round, we've thankfully got a bit of a cleaner setup for the stream and for the coverage. All of the tech stuff has been somewhat sorted out, which is really good. So hopefully from here on out, there shouldn't be too much in the way of be right backs, which should be really good. But otherwise, this is, as I said, the start of round 3. For those of you who have just tuned in, today is Plenty of Games Teams Trio event. The winner of each team will be, or the players in the winning team will get a Savannah, which is really exciting. Tomorrow there is also a singles event, Win a Library. Today we have 27 teams, so 81 players have rocked up to play some Highlander, which is really, really good. We have 6 rounds with a cut to top 4. So stay tuned. This is round 3. We've got 4 more rounds of Swiss and then 2 more rounds after that. So plenty more Magic to watch today. Just while the players are starting up here, so we've got a Forest go versus Thundering Claws go. Both players going to develop some mana here. I just want to do a couple of shout outs. So today's event and tomorrow's event are being run by Plenty of Games. It's an LGS based in the Melbourne CBD. It's in the heart of the city, right next to the train station. If you're ever in Melbourne and you want to buy some cards, I would strongly suggest supporting the store. It's a really, really good store that's very healthy and it's got a great environment. If you're in the area and you want to play tomorrow, sign-ups are still available. But otherwise, I really do appreciate Plenty of Games for hosting this weekend and making it a really big deal. On top of that, I want to thank everyone who's tuning in to watch the stream. If you can't play the event and you're tuning in from interstate, it's really, really cool that the stream is pretty lively and people are hanging out and watching the coverage. Hopefully, we're bringing a lot more coverage of live events to you this year. I'm going to try really hard to do that. But in the meantime, the Volti Fight Night series is still going to be happening, and we'll make sure that Highlander is in front of your eyes as often as possible. Getting back to the game, there was a Malevolent Rumble that got cast, and there's an Eldrazi Temple in play. Looks like Leo's developing some mana here. And Ben has put a Wampus on the stack. I can't imagine this is resolving if Leo has the ability to counter it. I imagine he will because Wampus is a 6/6. I think it has trample. It's just quite a large threat here. Is it a lose focus? Yeah, it looks like a lose focus. So this is the critical turn here. Leo really needs to put a back to basics or a Blood Moon in play, and he does. He has the back to basics. So Ben's down to a Forest now. This is a huge deal. Leo's locked out his Thundering Falls, but Ben, being the fast mana Eldrazi deck, has lost a Cradle and a Temple, and every future land he plays that makes more than 1 mana, like Ancient Tomb and City of Traders, all of those are going to be kept in check by the Back to Basics. I imagine his outs to remove it are probably Beseiju and Devourer of Destiny. He might be playing the green colorless one that disenchants. But this is a really, really bad spot for Ben on the right here. Very interested to see how this develops. Playing a Labyrinth and putting actual Ugin under it. That's cute. Ugin's Labyrinth is a soul land that requires you to put a large colorless card under it. And in this case, Ugin's Labyrinth is eating up actual Ugin, which I think is really cute. But in this spot, he's got 4 mana. He's probably not going to be able to do much. So he's just going to pass the turn. Leo's going to untap his 2 islands. And, I mean, realistically, the longer this back to basics is in play, the more turns that Leo is just going to have access to more mana than Ben does. So from here, I think it's going to be critical to find out whether or not Ben finds an answer to this. Because that's ultimately what's going to decide this game. If he can answer the back to basics and unlock his mana, he's in decent shape, I would say, considering he's developed some of his lands and they're not Blood Mooned, for example. They are still functional. And Leo has developed a True Name Nemesis, and notably has fetched another island. So he's got access to 3 islands to untap every turn. Ben still has access to a single forest to work with, as well as any lands he plays that are coming into play untapped. But now that there's a True Name, Ben's on a clock. He has 7 turns where he needs to do something. He needs to interact with the True Name, or he needs to interact with the Back to Basics, or win the game. Putting a Sowing Mica Spawn on the stack. I believe it's just for 1 mode, so he's going to get a land and put it into play. It will come into play untapped, which is relevant because of the Back to Basics, but he really needs to unlock his mana. And because it doesn't go into hand, Mica Spawn does not have the ability to get Beseiju, which is a huge deal here. So he's picking up Eye. That'll give him 2 mana every turn for Eldrazi spells, which at the very least should stem the bleeding of this Back to Basics. Although in saying that, he tapped his Ugin's Labyrinth and his Planar Nexus to cast the Mica Spawn. We see the first attack from True Name. Ben going down to 17 here. It's entirely possible that this True Name will attack Ben 7 times, and that'll be it. And if that's the case, he's just dead unless he can beat this Back to Basics. He has a Mica Spawn, so he can attack back for 3, but it's not a meaningful race, and it's definitely not something he can accelerate. So he's found a tower, so he has access to 5 mana for Eldrazi spells. If he cracks his token. Well, we're casting something. I don't know what that is. So this is 5 mana if it's an Eldrazi, 3 mana if it's not. Tower shouldn't be making that much mana, I don't think. Unless Planar Nexus works differently. I'm not entirely sure what he's put on the stack, but Leo's responding with a dress down here. to turn it off. Turn 2 of True Name cracking in. Ben's got 5 turns left. See what he can do here. Leo's just going to ship the turn, presumably content with holding up some amount of interaction and just trying to close the game out with True Name. And it looks like an Odawara on the unknown Eldrazi. Ben's got a Ring in hand, which he definitely can't cast. And then he cracks in for 3. So Leo should be on 12 if I've been tracking live totals correctly, which means Ben is technically winning this race with his Micah spawn. Although it's about as close as it can get with a race like this. Leo untapping and spending 3 mana for Lutri. This does let him block at a minimum. Presumably he's going to do something with the Lutri and maybe just take the Micah spawn for a couple of extra turns. Down to 9. Ben has found a second forest. Okay. That's a big deal. Having an extra land for back to basics. Down to 8. Yeah, I think in this spot, Ben has identified that cracking in with Micah Spawn will possibly lose him the game to Lutri in terms of a counter race. But it looks like he's willing to commit to it anyway. And Leo not blocking here. Instead firing off a Memory Deluge. And Ben played a Besaiger, I think. That's shocking to me. He didn't blow up the back to basics? Unless that's not Besaiger, but that's certainly what it looks like. Plays yeah, I don't know if he's meant to have played the Besaiger there. He would have untapped all of his lands. It's possible he just wasn't actively thinking about the game state. Because, I mean, it hasn't really changed significantly for a long time. Attempting to untap his lands with the back to basics. Yeah, I think he just didn't register that he could Besaiger the back to basics and unlock his mana. That's the only explanation I can think of. And look, I mean, we can talk about misplays all we want, but fundamentally, Highlander is a really messy format. There's a lot of weird interactions. There's a lot of really strange cards that people play, and it's very easy to miss things once board states kind of boil down. I mean, whether or not he sleeps tonight depends on if he wins this match. He might be able to win this match, or his team might be able to win the match for him. But in terms of this game, Besagering back to basics was almost certainly the play. Hey, exit. The game record is 0-0. This is the start of round 3, and this is the first game. Looks like Ben is packing up. Did the Reality Smasher resolve and win the game? Or did it... Wait, what happened? I think Ben won that game. I think he just explained that he had Reality Smasher, and Leo packed it up. Or he's explaining that he's explaining to us that that's what he was trying to do. I don't know who won. Yeah, Leo looked like he scooped. But he didn't even see the Reality Smasher, right? Unless Ben just like said it out loud and Leo trusted it. Which I think is reasonable. I'm gonna go check this. I'm not entirely sure what happened there, so I'm gonna mute my mic, I'm gonna walk over. I'll leave you all with Charlie behind me, and I'll go find out the game score. Because that was kind of weird. All right, I went over and confirmed, and Ben did win that game. He put the Smasher on the stack, and they were just speeding up the process. I just wanted to make 100% sure. In terms of a report from the match, Chia is up a game on the other side of the table, and JLS and Michael Billinghurst are still in game 1 by the looks of it. So we're going to go to game 2. Leo's going to have the play, and here it's going to be paramount. If he can Blood Moon or back to basics and nothing crazy happens, he should be able to essentially neuter what Ben can do. If he's planning on countering and interacting with every card that Ben puts on the stack, he's just going to lose to cast triggers. Ben revealing a Devourer of Destiny. This is a new card from MH3. It's an Eldrazi that says you may reveal it from your opening hand, and if you do, at the start of your first upkeep, look at the top 4, put one in back on top, and exile the other 3. What seat we're watching? This is one of the ends. I'm not certain if it's seat A or seat C. Because the players have been moving around a lot. But unfortunately, we can't watch seat B. We can't watch the middle seat of each match, just because it would be really, really uncomfortable for the players physically. So I've been avoiding that for their sake. So Leo are going to surveil here. Just asking a teammate. And Ben's first land is a Shifting Woodland by the look of it. Came into play tapped. It definitely looks like it makes green, so I imagine it's Shifting Woodland. He has a Soul Ring in hand that we can see, so at the minimum, there's got to be something that he can threaten to do here. And Leo going to fetch in response to a Soul Ring. He's almost certainly going to counter it if he has the ability to. It's just a matter of with what. Hard cast to Daze, very reasonable. Ben could have played around this by playing a land first, so it's possible he gets punished for this. It's also possible that he didn't want to reveal what he was using the Sol Ring for. And on top of that, if he decided that he was going to commit the Eye of Ugin this turn, rather than the City of Traders, then he couldn't actually pay for the Daze. And Leo is going to play a third land and ship the turn back. So no Blood Moon, no Back to Basics, no Harbinger of the Seas, which is a big deal. That turn 3 is the turn to play something. And so now Ben has a lot of mana potentially unlocked. He has 1 land in play, an Iovergan that makes 2, a lot of lands in the deck that make 2. We saw a Mana Vault during a search. So presumably he's going to do something big this turn. It's just a matter of what. City into Monolith. This will let him cast a 6-drop, and I think I saw a Oblivion Sower. So if this gets countered... No, it doesn't get countered. So the Grim Monolith's in play. So he has the ability to put something on the stack, like Oblivion Sower, which would get around a counterspell, or he can wait and save the Grim Monolith mana for something like Ulamog in hand. A lot of options here. Think there's a judge call? Is that what's happening? Or is he just conferring with a teammate? Oh, I think he's checking if Oblivion Soul would blow up City of Traders. It would not, I'm almost positive. City of Traders requires you to play a land to blow it up. It doesn't blow up just because a land comes into play under your control. So Solar, if it hits a land, will be able to leave the city in play. The Grim Monolith will be tapped. So it depends on how many lands he hits off Leo's library with Oblivion Solar, and that's if this trigger even resolves. Looks like he got a response from the judge and is committing to Oblivion Solar. I imagine Leo will confirm whether or not this works. So whether or not this trigger resolves matters because it'll accelerate Ben into a much larger follow-up play, even with the Monolith being tapped. And whether or not the Soul resolves is also very relevant. Because Oblivion Soul will only costing 6, and a lot of the Eldrazi cost between 4 and 10. Oblivion Soul is enormous. It's a 5/8, if I remember correctly. It is just massive. So if it resolves, it's a 4-turn clock. If the trigger resolves, any number of different follow-up plays might happen, depending on how many lands he hits off Leo's deck. And if both fail to resolve with something like Consigned to Memory, then who knows what will happen. So it looks like force pitching Lorien to counter the Solar itself. And is the trigger resolving? I imagine it must be. I see Island, Misty Rainforest, and a red fetch, maybe? Is that what that is? An Arid Mesa. So the Arid Mesa probably doesn't do anything. The Misty Rainforest can get a forest. And notably, Ben also hit an island, which does give him the ability to operate under Back to Basics. He won't be able to use the blue mana, so that's not hyper relevant, but we'll see what happens here. And then Leo has an end of turn Flame of Anor. I think I would have flamed before committing the Force, just because you might want to pitch a different card to the Force, but it's quite minor. We're firing off a Gush. So Leo really looking for some way to stem the bleeding. Because as you can see here, currently he has 1 land in play. It will go to 2. Ben has 6 lands in play and a Monolith, although it is tapped, and a bunch of cards in hand. I think the odds that Leo loses this game are quite low. Quite high, sorry. report back that Billinghurst has won game 1 in the middle seat. So Leo's got a cameo. Looks like it got dismembered with the island. And Ben working out what to do. Checking what Monolith does. Ben is a very good Magic player, but he does not play a lot of Highlander, so forgive him if he has to read his own cards. So in this spot, he's untapping with an Eye of Ugin to reduce the cost of everything, at least 4 mana, 5 if he cracks the Misty for a forest, and 6 if he can somehow make the Arid Mesa either crack for something or make green with something like a Yavimaya. So it's probably about 6 mana, but he is just passing the turn. Okay, so this signifies Ben is planning to untap this Monolith and put Ulamog on the stack. And assuming that the trigger resolves for Ulamog, this game should be over. Ulamog itself might not resolve, but Leo's going to lose 2 blue lands and just be put into the Stone Age. Yep, that's an Ulamog. Gonna get Mana Lake. So the Ulamog is not resolving, but Leo is losing 2 more lands and is now down to a mountain versus Eye of Ugin, City of Traders, which still hasn't blown up, by the way. 3 other mana sources and a tapped Monolith. I don't know if Ben has Delirium. He has to be approaching it. It's possible that that will become relevant with the Shifting Woodland. It's possible he just puts something else on the stack that threatens to end the game. I mean, Leo's fighting this out. The Oblivion Soul and the Ulamog, both of their cast triggers resolved, but the creatures themselves did not. So he's still on a very healthy 16. It's just that he has 2 lands in play and it's turn like 9. I think that's a Khan Silex, which presumably will force the Polluted Delta to be cracked. I mean, Ben is playing this as a knowledge check, really. Leo has to crack this fetch. If he doesn't, he is not going to be able to make blue mana with it. So a bit of a knowledge check here. I think Leo also trying to work out if he needs to counter the Silex itself. Does crack the fetch, so that's good. We passed that check. Has access to 2 mana, but not counterspell mana, not double blue. Is the Silex resolving? It looks like it is. Does Ben put a Khan on the stack? Does he just say go? He puts a Khan on the stack, both his Monolith and his Mana Vault attempt. And he's going for it. Alright. So if Khan gets countered, Ben has a tapped Monolith and a tapped Mana Vault. And it's getting forced. Okay. Leo's still putting up a fight. Down just to 4 cards and 2 lands. And Ben has access to 14 mana or something ridiculous, but a lot of it is tapped. And a lot of it is being gate kept by itself. So it's possible he can claw out of this if he plays something like a Blood Moon or a Harbinger. He's got to have something, and he's got to do it now. Ben working out whether he pays some mana vault here. It looks like he is. Force of Will. Silex checks any moon that comes in. True, true. Firing off a Brainstorm here. Yeah, that's right. I forgot Silex has the other mode. Also, welcome, Jim. How's it going? So Leo firing off a Brainstorm. I mean, I don't see how he's winning this game. It's probably like a price of progress, right? Like Lutri price of progress? Is that how you win this game? Wait, what does Khan Silex do exactly? Stops you from sacrificing things, right? As well? Oh no, you can't pay life. Yeah, okay, so you can still crack the bauble, that's fine. Leo once again managing to hit 3 mana. Ben going to pass the turn with the intent of untapping Grim Monolith, I would assume. As well as hold up Silex to protect himself. Paying blue for probe. Ben points out Khan Silex. Leo points to the tapped island. So we've got 3 lands and a Devour of Destiny with no targets. So Ben opting to save the Devourer for after Leo has put some kind of colored permanent on the stack, but isn't developing his mana because it would blow up City of Traders. So interesting. I think he maybe should be playing these lands out. It's possible he's also trying to insulate himself against price of progress. It's a very real concern. Oh, he has enough mana to activate Eye over again? 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, that'll do it. So the Mana Vault and the Monolith are gonna be tapped. So I think you just leave them tapped and Micah spawn and tag another land. Because the Ceaseless Hunger is in the graveyard. There's a bunch of Eldrazi you can choose here. What is the third land in Ben's hand? We have a Tron land, a Boro, and something else. I don't know if it's an Abora. I thought it was a Urza's Workshop. Like the other Tron land. And there was a Cloud Post. Yeah, it was Workshop, right? So Iovergan is getting Null Drifter. Okay. So we're probably just slamming that. And taking the 1 from Mana Vault this turn. I think at this point he definitely needs to be developing his lands and just blowing up City. So Ben has currently got like 6 lands in hand and a Devourer. I think you get the Tron lands out rather than the Cloud Post. And City blows up. And we ship the turn. Ben has an end step something, probably a cantrip. Oh, it's a Magmatic Sinkhole. Yeah, that'll do it. All right. Okay, so once again, Ben resolving a cast trigger, but not sticking a creature. I think it is meaningfully impressive that this game is still going, considering Leo has had several permanents blown up. Ben has access to 100 mana at all points in time. Leo has not interacted with Ben's mana in any way. And we're on turn a billion. Reports in that table 2, which is JLS versus Billinghurst, is going to a game 3. So exciting stuff. Forsaken Monument being put on the stack. It's a big game. There's no way it's resolving if Leo can help it. What is that? Is that an actual counter spell? I think it's a counter spell. And then ship the turn back. So at this point, I mean, Leo's interacted with Ben several times now. At some point, he needs to do something. He needs to put some kind of threat on the stack. We've seen True Name. I don't believe we've seen Murktide. We've seen Jace. There's a Loot Tree. He needs to actually try and win the game. Otherwise, at some point, and that some point is probably coming up very soon, Ben is going to put 3 game-winning spells on the stack in one turn, and it'll be over. It's kind of as simple as that. Looks like Leo is looking at Ben's top card with a Mishra's Bauble and showing the middle seat, and they're trying to work out with another Judge Call. Does Leo have a judge question about the top card of Ben's library? Is that what this is? It doesn't take this long to resolve a bauble, especially if you can't do anything about it, the top card. So presumably Leo has like a Thought Scour, and that's the reason that we're in the tank. Or he's just trying to work out if he needs to do something to insulate himself against the top card. We don't even know what the top card is. Hasn't been shown to the camera. I think just out of respect for not accidentally flashing it to Ben. Although I think it is probably relatively meaningless. Judge, how do I beat this? I would be shocked if your standard judge could answer that question. I think given this current board state and the context of this matchup, I don't know how Leo is beating what is happening. He needs to put on a monumental amount of pressure, interact with presumably several cards each turn from here on out. Ben is not missing a lander for at least 6 more turns. You know, something's got to give. At some point, something's going to stick. So I guess we'll find out what it is. What's happening here? What on earth is that? It's a flip card? What card is that? Well, okay. Something resolved. There are some Eldrazi spawn or Eldrazi scions. Cradle's gonna make some mana. Something's gonna happen. DFC land Eldrazi from MH. I don't even know which one that is, but I'll believe you, chat. I know most of the Eldrazi from MH3. I wasn't aware that there was a MDFC that was actually playable. Here we go. It's a Harbinger. Okay. It's the blue-green land? Okay. Yeah, I can't recognize it from the text. It kind of just looks like... Yeah, okay, sure. Playable and limited? What a deal. Eldrazi Confluence. Gonna tag the Harbinger. And some other mode. Can it untap permanence? Oh, it flickers permanence. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Well, now he has access to 75 mana instead of 63. We'll see if that's relevant. What's the card sitting on top of the steam vents? That is a terrific question. I believe it's a Restless Spire, which is the red-blue creature land. I'm almost certain that's what it is. And it came into play untapped because of the Harbinger. We've got a Jace. It's gonna bounce this. What is it? A 7/6? I'm just gonna put Leo in 6 because that's probably right. Okay. Are we activating I? Yeah, we are. Surely the game's over now. At some point. Restless Spire Alt Art? Gas. So then working out what Eldrazi to get. Promised End. And that is GG's. Ben wins that match 2-0. I believe the middle table was even last we checked going into game 3. Unsure of what is happening on the other table. So what we're going to do while the players pack up and make sure that each player has all of the cards that they started the match with is I'll mute the mic, I'll pop Charlie on screen, and I'll go grab some people for an interview. And then when this match finishes, we'll have another interview as well. So for now, 2-0. Thanks, Ali. For now, I'm going to disappear, and I'm going to leave the table sort of packing up, and I'll be right back with someone. Hi everyone, Volty here. Today's video was brought to you with the lovely help of my patrons and donors who you can see up here on screen. If you would like to financially support the content, there's links down below, and you can make sure that if you're able to and you want to help support the channel, that you can do so. You'll also get your name visible up here on screen as well, which is very cool. If you are watching this on YouTube, please consider subscribing. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps out the channel a ton. And if you're watching this on Twitch, please consider clicking that follow button as well. The bell will let you be notified of when streams are going live. But otherwise, that's it from me. I'll catch you all next time.